How many of you wrote test today? Safi, you wrote test. Who else? You guys wrote test. How was it like? Is it the process that was stressful or the test that was stressful? The process. Ah, you wrote test too? Okay. You didn't write test, Cecilia. You passed that level now. Okay, okay, okay. Sorry, don't worry. Someday we'll make the process seamless, more seamless than what you're currently experiencing. And you know something about the process is it can take away what you've read. Is it true? It can make you forget what you. I just became for excuse. I just said it. You just agreed. But of course, I agree. It can happen. Though. Imagine queuing under the scorching sun. Right? Finally, they allow you to enter. By the time you even look at the screen, you're not certain which is the right answer or the wrong answer at some point. But it's fine. Unsuk is improving. It wasn't like this a few years ago. Right? So I know it's improving. At least it's better than writing your test on pen and paper. Then you now hear missing scripts. Right? True of us. Is it not better you use computer? Some 5 years ago, it was all about pen, paper, and I think GST department recorded the most of the missing scripts. They just tell you all of your department people had missing scripts, and you must be forced to write or register the course again. Okay, so sorry for all of those issues. Welcome back to club. Welcome back to Golden Moments. All right, so just turn to your neighbor and say it's good to be back here again. Uh-uh. Is that how you feel like being back here again? Can you express it more and say it's good to be back here again? Give the person a sweet smile, cute smile. It's good to be Alabi smile to her and tell her it's good to be back here again. All right, awesome. All right, so I welcome you back to Golden Moments. And 2 weeks ago, we started a very insightful series on quick understanding. Okay, very, very insightful. For purpose of recap, we looked at the foundation. In the course of looking at the foundation, I clearly stated the 3 areas we're going to be looking at. Today, we are considering the second of those 3 areas. We said we're going to be looking at learning pace, learning preferences, and learning difficulties. All right, so week one, we looked at the foundation. We said we have 4 objectives, and those objectives were guided by 4 questions. And also that very day, I defined what quick understanding is not. For purpose of recap, I said quick understanding is not a speed reading test, is not a long hour reading marathon, is also not a function of quick read schemes. All right. And week 2, I then took out the time to define what quick understanding is. If you wrote that very day, I'm sure you will have not forgotten what I said. But for purpose of recap, let me go over again. Were you around last week? Okay. Let me go over again. So I said quick understanding is defined is a student's ability, your ability to identify your learning pace, your learning preferences, and your learning difficulties. With the aim, don't worry to write, don't worry. So you're not trying to slow me down. This evening, I will not be slowed down for your ability of writing. Don't worry. Whenever you can pick it up from, it's fine. It's just a recap. I think the materials are already available on the platform. Written material, you find it on the platform. It's been uploaded, so you can go through them. So whatever you can catch this evening, with respect to the recap, just catch. All right. So I said is your ability to identify, number one, your learning pace, your learning preference, and your learning difficulty, with the aim of improving that learning pace. All right. Expanding that learning preference, and thirdly, addressing the learning difficulties. And we said that is quick understanding. Then I moved on in that very series or in that very section last week by asking you all a very important question. And I was so glad that your response reaffirmed my initial thoughts on that very question. I said, can understanding be measured? And what was the response? What was the response last week? We said, yes, understanding can be measured. I say we can look at you and measure the understanding of your course of study or the understanding you have from your course of study or the topics involved in a specific course of study. I would say, how can we do that? There are 3 ways. We say, number one, we measure your understanding by application. All right. What you cannot apply, we say you don't yet understand. Number two, we measure your understanding by transfer, your ability to teach what you now understand to other people. And with respect to teaching, I say there are three processes. Number one, you teach yourself. All right. Number two, you find somebody who doesn't have a better understanding on that course, or who you perhaps have a better understanding on that course than he or she does. Then you teach that very person. Then you take it one other step higher. You look for somebody who has better understanding than you, right, to teach. This three process is very important in the process of improving your understanding. Then we say lastly, understanding can be measured by results. All right. Then we finalize by looking at learning pace. All right. We defined what learning pace is, and I gave you 4 steps for improving your learning pace. I said if you currently find yourself as a slow-paced learner, a mid-paced learner, or perhaps a fast-paced learner, right? References on the pace. You are not the slow learner, like I would always say. You are not the mid-paced learner, right? You are not the mid learner, neither are you the fast learner. You are a learner, but you have a pace. And that pace talks about the speed at which you acquire information or process new knowledge. Then I say there are 4 steps in improving your learning pace. If you want to understand more quickly or you want to understand more fastly, there are 4 steps. Number 1, you must have a daily study structure. You recall, right? This is a recap, right? This is why I'm going very fast. I say number 1, you must have a daily structure. Quick understanding is not a function of quick skim. So if you want to improve your understanding, you want to pick up your material and the material open up to you, you must have a daily study structure. This is why we've uploaded that very material, right? A study timetable on your platform. How many of you have downloaded now? How many of you have downloaded, you've printed, you've written? Awesome. Right? This is the structure you can build for quick understanding. Then you don't stop there. You do the second thing. What's the second thing? You study with objective. For whatever material you want to study, or you have a textbook you want to study, before you go right into the textbook or before you dive into the first book, you need to ask yourself, what are the objectives I want to achieve? What are my study objectives? So number 1, to understand the concept of zoology. Number 2, to describe human, what's that course you gave me last week? Human, is it anatomy of animals, something like that? Human physiology, right? Is it? So imagine if you're studying human physiology. So your study objective could be number 1, understand the concept of human physiology. Number 2, describe human physiology. Whatever you need to do with regards to that very course. This is how you study objectively. Because when you study objectively, what you'll be doing is that at the end of your study, you'll be able to come back to that objective and tick it. And now understand the concept. And now understand how to describe human physiology. Learning at this level becomes very interesting because whenever you learn, you are looking out to see what you've understood. Then number 3, I said you come up with self-test and self-examination. You don't need to wait for your school to come up with tests. For example, you don't need to wait for your school to tell you it's GST day or it's the day to write GST test before you sit for a test. You can test yourself. You can come up with possible questions that might come out from, the course outline or from the area your course lecturer might have covered. You come up with questions, you study that question, right? Then you attempt the question. Self-test, self-examination. Then the last one, of course, is transfer. Teaching others what you've learned. All right, so this is a recap in a case where you missed out on last section. All right, so let's now go into the second core area of quick understanding, and that is on learning preference. So say with me, learning preference. You want to say it louder? Say learning preference. Is that not our member going backwards? Somebody should help out. Did she see us? Or so say learning preference so you can draw attention. Learning preference.
Learning preference.
All right, I'm thinking you're supposed to do learning preference so that you just draw her and come with your voice. Okay, it's fine, no problem. Okay, so let's look at learning preference. Now, in this series, you will hear me open up the teaching with this line over and over and again. Please don't be distracted. Just stay with me, right? I would always open my teaching section with respect to quick understanding on this very line. And what is the line? I need you to understand that we don't all equal in our learning abilities. We don't all equal in our learning abilities. We don't equal in our learning pace. We don't equal in our learning preferences. We also don't equal in our learning. We don't also experience the same level of learning difficulties, right? By implication, what this means is that you and I, or maybe all of us here, we might be given admission to study the same course. We offer the same course. We attend the same lectures, all right? Attend the same lectures, receive lectures from the same lecturer, all right? We might read, copy notes, and even attempt the same test. And at the end of the day, we have different academic performance. How can you explain that? And it's not spiritual, so you know now say it's my village people. How can you understand that? We offer the same courses, all right, went for the same classes, attend the same lecture, learned under the same lecturer, under the same learning condition, right? We wrote the notes, copied the notes, attended the test, and at the end of the day, the school comes back by giving us a report card. And on the report card, we have different performance. Some have 2 points, some have 1 point, some have 5 points, and the rest of that. How do we then explain this phenomenon? The best way to explain it is to help you understand that we don't equal in our learning abilities. We don't. We don't equal. This is why I've defined quick understanding as your ability to identify your learning pace. Because the only time you can move from average performance to an excellent performance is if you've done your homework. And your homework is not to study more. You know, sometimes when I try to explain some of these things, I hope you're understanding what I'm really saying. You know, you can study more and yet nothing will actually change your performance. It's possible, right? It's very possible. If you don't address it from the foundation, studying more might not be the right solution. This is why I want to talk about learning preferences, all right? So since we differ in our learning pace, your question is, what is my learning pace? And I'm sure last week, everybody now knows their learning pace, right? Whether you're a mid-pace learner, a slow-pace learner, or fast-pace learner, I'm sure you know by the questions we asked, all right? So now the question is, you have to identify your own unique learning abilities because we all have unique learning abilities. The way I learn is different from the way Mr. Ryan's learn, all right? Or Mr. Ryan will learn. The way Mr. Ryan learn will different from the way Sophie learn. The way Sophie learn will different from the way Cecilia learn. Sweetheart, what's your name? Blessing. Best. Ebubechi, eh? Don't worry, it's between me and you. Why are you guys looking? The way she learns is different from the way Joseph learned. We all have different learning abilities. So we must pay attention to our ability if we want quick understanding to happen. Are we together? Are we together? You guys sound dull a little bit. Why are you dull? Eh? What did he say? Is it GST? GST made you dull. Ah, please come back. Oh, leave GST alone. There are more GSTs to write. Oh. All right. So follow me carefully as I try to define learning preference. Then, of course, walk you through the different kind of learning preference. It's my aim that at the end of today's section, you will find your learning preference. So when it's time to study, you don't have to guess your way into studying. You just go right there. Learning preference, I figure out learning preference to be a key, right, to a specific door. You know, you might be in a house. You might be given access to a house. If you're not given the keys to the different rooms, you might stay in the sitting room all through your stay. If you are not told this is the key that leads to the kitchen, which is, I think, for me, the most important room in the house, if you are not given the room that leads to the kitchen, you will starve in the sitting room. But guess what? You are in the room, oh, right? And when you need to make use of the convenience, right, you can't make use of the convenience because perhaps the place is locked and you don't have the key. So all of these things I'm talking about, learning pace, learning preference, and learning difficulty, these are keys. Keys to help you unlock one more step, all right, in the way to help you achieve academic excellence. All right, so let's go to definition. Just stay with me. Now you can start writing if you want to write. Okay, usually my definition are very short, so you can internalize them. So what are learning preference? Learning preference refers to an individual go-to method or condition for acquiring and processing new knowledge. All right. Learning preference is an individual go-to method, right? Is an individual go-to method for acquiring and processing new knowledge. is an individual go-to method or condition. You might add condition to it. Go-to method or condition for acquiring or processing knowledge. What does that mean? In other words, learning preference is your sweet spot for studying. You know, everybody have a sweet spot for studying. Guys, come on and stay with me. You know, we have sweet spot for studying. The same way you have environment where you like to study. When it's time to pick up your book to study, I'm telling you now that you have a sweet method. It's only you that know that method, but I'm sure by the time I go through some of this method, you will find it, and when you find it, you'll be able to maximize the use. But every one of us, we have that sweet spot for studying. That once you just identify it, you know, now when you're giving ice cream, what do? You lick, right? And it's very sweet when you're licking it. It's that same thing I'm trying to describe to you. So once more, learning preference refers to an individual go-to method, right? You pick up your book is the first way you choose to study, right? You pick up a material you've not seen before, you pick up a textbook you've not seen before, is the first way you will attempt to study. Naturally, nobody even needs to force you. You just go to it because it's a go-to method, your own go-to method. And like I said, we have different go-to method. It's that sweet spot for studying. Now, with respect to learning preference, from studies, we have a lot of learning preference, right? From different researchers, from their findings, from their orientation and their perspective. We have different kind of learning references or preferences. But I've been able to pick one, all right, one of those models from a researcher called Neil Fleming. You don't need to write him if you're confused, but it's called Neil Fleming. His model is the most simplified. And I think in this very academic setting, we can use his model, all right, to draw up our understanding or learning preference, then begin to apply this learning preference to our study. And I don't want you to miss out. And in case of this very study, I'm going to divide us into different groups according to our learning preference. And I'll tell you why. Exams is coming. If you want quick understanding, you want to embrace your learning preference. When you embrace your learning preference, when you know them and embrace your learning preference, I tell you, this exam might just be the best you've ever written so far in Nsukku. I'm serious. I'm very, very, very serious. It might be the best. Like I've said, it's not about studying. It's not about increasing your study hours. You might choose to increase your studying hours, but yet you are studying with the wrong method. Are you understand what I'm saying? It now looks like you're pouring water. You've seen a picture of a basket or maybe video. You see somebody trying to pour water into the basket. Question, will that basket ever get filled up? Will it ever get filled up? Another example, you're pouring water and you're pouring the water on a rock. Will that rock take the shape of a bucket? It's the same thing that happens when we try to increase the number of hours we study using the wrong method in studying. So you just go through it. No wonder when you pick up the material, it's so confusing. Your eye can't go past paragraph 1. You do, you still come back there. And when it doesn't work, you resort to cramming. And you try to cram. When you don't cram in, then you just embarrass yourself in the exam hall. So stay tuned to what I have to share with you with respect to learning preference. All right. So I say from Neil Fleming, we have 4 learning preference. 4. So you can write now before I divide you. Number 1, this learning preference is an acronym of VARK, right? VARK. V-A-R-K. All right. V-A-R-K. VARK. V-A-R-K. VARK. V stands for visual learners. V stands for visual learners. A stands for aura or auditory learners. Aura, that's aura for aura, you know. Yes, aura. Aura, or not aura, not aura bio. Aura, A-U-R-A-L, right? / auditory learners. R stands for read, write learners. Then K stands for kinesthetic learners. I'll start from the top. We are looking at the VARK model propounded by Neil Fleming in 1987. The VARK model. V stands for visual learners. A stands for oral auditory learners. All right. R stands for read, write learners. and K stands for kinesthetic learners. Are we good? Are we good? The fourth one, kinesthetic learners. K-I-N-E-S-T-H-E-T-I-C. K-I-N-E-T-H-E-E-S-T-I-C. Kinesthetic learners. Are we good? Do we all have it now? We all have it, right? Now, just be looking at each one of those things as I try to explain, because you will find your learning method inside one of them. And in a case where you're not even writing, while I'm speaking about them and I try to explain them, you would find yourself. My instruction to you is, when you find yourself, just hold on to it. Hold on to it so that when we do the division, you can clearly fit in wherever we are going to be dividing you to. I'm hoping nobody will sit alone after we've done the division. If you find yourself sitting alone, you can come and stand with me, so we'll do the teaching section together. Okay, all right, amazing. So let's talk about visual learners. You see, the go-to method, remember what we define learning preference is that it is your go-to method, right, for studying, your sweet spot for studying. So visual learners, their go-to method for studying or for acquiring or processing new knowledge is anything that is visually illustrative. This might be an image, this might be a diagram, or might be a graph, might be pictures, might be videos, might be movies. Anything that is visually illustrative captures the interest of a visual learner. So while you're here and you know why you've attempted to study in previous times, whenever you look at the material, you don't have a right picture of it or right understanding of it, but you see an image while you're reading. That image sits down with you. Just know you have the tendencies of a visual learner. Now, let me be more practical with my explanation. While I am teaching here, I know I have visual learners. And for those of you, don't be distracted. Don't look at couples. Look at me. Are they couples? Okay, they are not couples. Look at me. Just look at me, right? When I talk about visual learners, I know I have visual learners seated among you. So this is it. If you are a visual learner, everything you can see me do is making a meaning to you. As I'm speaking, you're hearing beyond my voice. You're listening beyond my voice. You are watching me carefully. When I take a left turn, you understand what I mean by a left turn. Or when I make a left turn, you can look at that left turn and almost interpret or almost make a meaning from my left turn. If you are a visual learner, when I make a right turn, you can look at what I've just done and almost get a perfect understanding of the right turn. When I smile, you can even get an understanding of why I'm smiling. If you are a visual learner, everything that you can visually see is very interesting to you and is captivating your attention, right? If I keep a frown and you are a visual learner, you're most likely to guess why Mr. Rice is keeping a frown. The same way you will guess why your lecturer is keeping a frown. And you're not likely to be incorrect. Why? Because you're a visual learner. You're a visual learner. So by every tendency you have, once you see something that is visual, it gets your attention. And to interpret that very knowledge or that very information is not hard. So let me give you an example. If I want a visual learner to visit my office or my house, the best thing I can do to help that visual learner visit my office or my house is to give them a map. I just told you now that anything that is visually illustrative. So if you give a visual learner a map, I know some of you don't understand Google Map. If I give you Google Map now, you're like, everywhere is just looking the same on this map. And everywhere is not looking the same. I understood the benefit of map when we traveled to Enugu. Sincerely, I never understood what the map was looking like. Because I was seeing an arrow, and where the arrow was leading us to, I don't know. But the person I was traveling with, right, my mentor, every time we say, check the map, check the map. And when I check, he say, show me. When I show him, he makes a meaning out of that map. Is somebody understand what I'm saying? So the only reason he was able to make a meaning out of that map is that he have a tendency. Number one, he could have studied map before now, but it's looking like he has a tendency towards visual images. Is somebody understand what I'm saying? So if I give the person a map, the person might less likely identify my house from that very map. Visual learners. But what's the second? We now have oral or auditory learners. Oral or auditory learners. Now, for oral and auditory learner, if you're one of them, your sweet spot for studying, your go-to method for studying is hearing. Anything that has sound attached to it captivates your interest, captivates your attention, commands your attention. So I know why I'm still speaking to each one of you here, I'm speaking to you as a group. I know I have oral and auditory learners here. And when you're looking at me, because you're not so much of a visual learner, if I repeat this clothes next week, you don't even know. If you know, that means you already have a visual understanding. Someone, you think everybody, I've seen, I say, this clothes you're wearing is very fine. I said, this is what I wore last week. Say, are you serious? I didn't know. And you made new hair. Say, this is the hair I've been carrying for the. So some of you, if you have auditory learners as spouse or boyfriend or more, you might have to understand with them, right? Because it's when they really look at you carefully, or you have to help them as a lady. Why am I digressing? I need to digress to help you understand. Maybe you have to point at your hair, right? Or you have to do your nails in a certain way. You say, what is it about this your nails? Okay, you did new nails. I didn't know. Maybe because they are auditory learners, right? So stay with me. So in here, I know I have auditory learners, and what is commanding your interest is the voice. As you are hearing the voice, you are not missing the information. Beyond everything I'm saying, there's more you are hearing. This is why while you're listening to me, even before I complete certain statement, you have the completion. Is somebody understand what I'm saying? Before I make a joke or even break to make a joke, you're most likely to guess the joke I'm about to tell, or perhaps complete the joke. Why? You're an auditory learner, so you're listening to the voice and you're processing the information that is coming. And it's most likely that you're not going to miss a guess if you're following attentively. For example, when I'm trying to explain something and maybe I'm trying to guess a word, and or perhaps I'm trying to find a word, because you've been able to glue into what I'm saying, you're most likely going to search the word from anywhere, and you just search it and you just mention the word, and I'll say, thank you, because you're an auditory learner. I'm saying this to tell you, so that when you're going to this examination and you're preparing for exams, you prepare with your strength. I know I've talked about, SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunities. You don't know you have strength in studying? You do. So as a student, your first responsibility is to find what is my strength in studying. You will all have individual strength. So when you find your strength in studying, what do? You maximize on that very strength. You latch on to that very strength. Is somebody here? Is somebody with me? So let me go on with auditory learners. So while I'm speaking with you, and perhaps the tune of my voice goes up or goes higher than this, you can interpret what that means. If my tune changes from being formal to casual, you can tell what it means. While you're even listening to me, some people might be talking, distracting you. You're not listening to what they are saying. You're just focused on the voice you're hearing. Why? You're an auditory learner. So if I want to invite an auditory learner to my office or to my house, I won't give him a map. Hello. Giving a learner a map might be a waste of effort. So what do? Pick up the phone and call. How are you? Okay, when you turn left, you see Faculty of Mass Comm. When you turn behind, you see Institute of, then you see one professorial building. Come upstairs, room 27. When you find, just come, you see me there. Very easy guide for the auditory learners. And I'm sure I have you here. If you're an auditory learner, say, hey. No auditory learner, is unlikely. Okay, let's do it again. If you're a visual learner, say, hey. You know I'm going to divide you, I just hope everybody will not be visual learners. Wait carefully till I go through the list. Auditory learner. She say I. Okay, it's fine. So now we've talked about visual and we've talked about auditory learners. Please don't be confused. Now let's go into read-write learners, which is R. Read-write learners. Now, if you are a read-write learner, all right, or if your sweet spot for studying, right, is read-write, you will find out that, hope nobody's making noise there. You will find out that, I cannot be talking and you're making noise. You're distracting me, guys. If you know what we are doing here is serious, you should just pay attention and you're looking at me. Are you getting what I'm saying? So when you distract me, I'm confused. Hello, I won't take any distraction, or else you will come out here and teach with me. I'll give you this material and maybe you become auditory learner. And are we together? So I was talking about read-write learner. If you are a read-write learner, your sweet spot for studying, your go-to method for studying is written information. Are we together? So if you are a read-write learner, if I give you this book or I give you this 4-page document, you won't find it strange. You will find it very captivating. Why? You are a read-write learner. You just look at it and like, you can make a meaning from this document. And I'm so excited about read-write learner because I am one of them. And now this is the nuance with read-write learners. In our mind, we don't think any other person beside us is serious when they are not writing. That's how we think. So if I'm writing now and I turn to the left, you are not writing. Whether you are a visual learner and I don't really care. I will just say you are not serious because you are not writing. And that is not always true. There are people here now that I know from the beginning of Life University. I've never seen them with any writing material. I know them. I mean, I know my people and my people know me. And they are learning, no. Hello. You will be so wrong to say they are not learning. I know somebody in this community. I've not seen her writing. I've never seen her. Why is she laughing? Is she what? But I didn't mention anybody's name, right? But one of those days, then she said something. She called my name and I said, I know you might be thinking I'm not learning. Well, I learned. I said, so tell me some of it. And she said some of the things I've been saying. I was surprised. So because I'm a read-write learner, I interpret through that method of studying that if you're not writing, you might not be serious, and that is wrong. The other nuances about read-write learner is that if you visit their house, why do I have to talk about myself now? But if you visit their house, you are most likely going to find books, written materials everywhere, on paper, on the stand, in the basket. You're almost going to ask, guy, what's your problem? Do you understand? And if you make the mistake of taking any piece of paper or any written content on a small piece of paper that doesn't make sense to you, and you trash it, you look for their trouble. Because they will remind you that, don't you know this thing that is here is very important? And I'm wondering, if it's me now, I know I'm a rewriter now. So, but you now, you'll be wondering, what is here now? You just wrote 3 things. You don't know that these 3 things that I wrote, if I had the time to write it, is very important to me. Because I'm a rewriter now. Guys, are we together? Are we together? Are you following? So if I want a read-write learner to visit my office or my house, what do you think should be the best method? Send a text. And the text must be very detailed though. Right? Very detailed. So you will say, room 27, Alhaji Kabiru Residence, Federal Government College, Kefi. You now even put North Central, Nigeria, full stop. Why do you have to do that? Because they take every information very serious. Some of them now, they are your professors, they are your lecturers. You have them as your supervisor. Those are the type of lecturers that we go through 90-page material and they can pick out every single mistake on each page. Guys, are we together? Yes, they won't miss it. And when they tell you turn to page, you're like, Sometimes they won't draw your attention to what you wrote and you cannot even remember. Then they'll ask you, are you not the one that you wrote this thing now? So what I'm saying is, some of you here, you are read-write learner. Value it is very, very strong. Then finally, we have K. K is kinesthetic learner. Before we talk about kinesthetic learner, another nuance of the read-write learners is that if you are a read-write learner and you don't know how to organize yourself, you are going to be looking for your materials almost every day because you've written in different places at different times. So if you don't master the skill of filing and organizing your materials, you're most likely going to be looking for them. So now let's look at kinesthetic learners. Now, if you are a kinesthetic learner here, your sweet spot for studying is by doing. Your sweet spot for studying is by doing. Your sweet spot for studying is by looking for what is in the written content or in the written material that you can apply. You know why I like the kinesthetic learners? The other day I described what understanding means. And I said understanding can be measured. And it can be measured by these 3 things. Number 1, application. Number 2, transfer. And number 3, results. You see the application. People who are kinesthetic learners, they are good in application. In fact, a learning like this, a learning condition like this, or a learning environment like this will almost be boring for a kinesthetic learner if he or she cannot find what to apply. So while I'm speaking all this grammar and I'm doing all these things, kinesthetic learners in their head, they are looking, okay, what should I apply? How should this benefit me? Practically, in a real life experience, how would this information benefit me? If they don't find how this material will benefit them, or this learning environment we're currently on, all right, will benefit them, or even this teaching section we're currently doing, if they don't find a way to benefit them, they are left out. That's the disadvantage. Are we together? Because they can live in the now and even forget that this material can make sense when you go home. Guys, are we together? Kinesthetic learner for you. But if they identify their strength, my God, they are so good. Because whatever they see, whatever they hear, they are looking at it with their intention of applying it. And you know now, when you apply, you show mastery of what you've read. You show mastery of what you've understood. In fact, if you can't apply, whether you're a visual learner, you're an auditory learner, or a read-write learner, if you can't get to that point where you apply, understanding has not materialized. And because they understand, it's very easy to also transfer. It's very easy to also do. And it's also easy to show the results. Kinesthetic learner for you. So another example, if I want a kinesthetic learner to visit my office or perhaps visit my house, the best way might not be to give them map or call them or even send them a detailed address. I'll just come. Joseph, come. Adewale, come. I'll just hold them by hands and say, follow me, let's go to my house. Are you seeing what I'm doing? I might not hold them by hands, right? But we'll go together. What I've just done is, because they learn by doing and they are very practical, when I go with him, he's not likely to miss that very address or the landmark he has seen when next I say, come and visit my house. Because while we are going, he's looking at all of the landmark. Okay, so we passed FMC. Okay, so we passed Federal Government College. This is how some of you here, you've never ever forgotten the address of certain locations you are interested in. For example, if there's somewhere you used to go every Sunday to eat food, if you just go the first time, even if they call you by 9 p.m., you can go without lights. Say, but there's no light. So what do you mean there's no light? I know the place now. Why? Maybe you're just a kinesthetic learner. You learn by doing. Guys, are we together? Are you together? Are we together? Now that I've given you a thorough explanation of these four: visual learners that learn by images or by any visually illustrative material, auditory learners that learn by hearing, read-write that learn by written information, or kinesthetic that learn by doing. I want you to do a very honest review. I want to divide you now, right? If you know, no nuance, no gra, just maintain yourself, right? If you know you're a visual learner, because I want to segment this now into different classes. I'll be speaking to you the same time, but specifically, if you know you're a visual learner, just come to this place here. Visual learners. You're sure with my explanation, you're a visual learner. Please come here. Quickly. All of you are visual learners. All of you are visual learners. Oh. I hope you know you explain visual for me. Okay, visual learners, take your seat here. Be free. What we want to do is it's for your exams, so hope you know, right? It's for your exams, right? So visual. No wonder they're not even carrying any writing material. It shows that they are really visual.
We are looking at you, guys.
You are looking at me. Okay, it's fine. Okay, so you left your friend. This exam is personal. Okay, so auditory learners, oral auditory learners, can you come over to this side? Auditory and oral learners. Remember, for you to be an auditory learner, just by information, you hear and it stays glued to you. Okay, these are the auditory learners. 3 of you. Let me not be confused. Ebube, you are not part of them, ba? You are best. You are not part of them. Okay, you're part of them. 4. Okay, read-write learners. Your own is catch the textbook, devour the textbook, scatter the textbook, make a meaning out of the textbook. Come and stay here. You're confused? That's because you walked in almost at the tail end of the section. So somebody should help you. Somebody will guide, and you have visual learners. They will know who explain to you. They'll start to tell you what they saw. Okay, so So these are, take my bag off. You can please push it so you stay together. I want you to stay together. Awesome. So these are my read write learners. Where's Cassandra? So what section is this? So kinesthetic learner, you learn by doing. Practicals, you apply. Come and stay that side. Which one are you people? You don't fall under any category. I understand the question in your mind now. You're thinking, is it possible to have a combination of this one and this one? Yes, yes. It's very possible, but you know your most strongest tendency. That's why I call it your sweet spot. When you get a material, the same way you can know if a food is sweet is the same way when you get a material, you know how to study it. What's your go-to method? When you pick up a material, how do you study? Do you always enjoy studying by reading? All right, or you want to see images that best explain this, or you want to hear somebody teach about it, or you want to do it by yourself? These two, it seems you guys are open on top of the trio. So choose quickly. I want to dive into the practical section now. Quickly. Kinesthetic. Oh, guy, where are you? Kinesthetic. You learn by doing. What's that your course again? Mathematics. You see mathematics. So how do you show you understand math? It's not by showing doings. It's not calculation. So the guy know where he is. Oh. When somebody is responding, auditory. Where are the auditory guys? Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Join auditory. Philo, where are you? You're in club. But tell me, where are you? Are you together? Visuals? And sit close to visual people now so you connect. Awesome. But it's not fair that only this guy is staying here. But it's fine. And go and sit with him now. Guy, choose one. Where are you choosing? Are you here or you are here? Help us. Where are you? Alabi, 1, make your decision in 5. You are there. Oh yeah, so go and sit there. Quickly. Now, I'm saying this or I'm doing this so that when you want to study for your exam, you can make a difference. Listen, if you study with your strength, this sweet spot I'm talking about is your strength. When you study with your strength, you can maximize your study time. It's not so much about increasing the number of hours you want to study, but it's studying using the right method. And as an educationist, I can tell you, this is one of the issues we have with students and their academic performance. Not even with the teaching content or maybe the qualification of the teacher. It's just this one, because you can learn without going to the class. True of us. Aren't there certain things you've learned in life that wasn't taught in class? So learning happens regardless of if there's a teacher or not. All right, so awesome. Practical section, here we go. Now that it is time for exam, if you are a visual learner, this is... You are a 3 learner, huh? So what I will do is, I want to give you practical guides. Omo. Just make space for her. So now what I want to do is to give you practical guide. I will give one for the vision. There are 4 times 4 for everybody, right? 4 for everybody, right? 4 for that guy, 4 for you, 4 for you, 4 for you. So I'll give you one. I'll move to the other guys till we have it all figured out. Are we together? So now visual learners, now you don't want to only look, you want to write, because these things now is what you go and apply. Hello, are we together? So ensure everybody is writing now. Base rule, ensure you're writing. Ensure you have your notes open on your phone or anything. Just document what I'm about to share with you. So when you go home, you can start to try them out, and I'm sure it will work. All right, so let's start with the visual learners. Visual learners, with respect to your examination, the first thing you want to try out as a visual learner